Every year, after finishing off my carp season, I begin cleaning out the barn owl boxes at the club and getting them ready for the spring nesting season. Barn owls are better at killing gophers and ground squirrels than they are at nest building, so replacing that nesting material is probably the biggest favor that I can do for them. This is the fourth year that I've been taking care of our barn owls, so the boxes that were built within the first couple of years needed a little bit more attention than simply switching out the nesting material. My plan was to clean, sand, and repaint the existing boxes and paint the new owl box that I had recently finished making before reinstalling them all back onto the trees. One of our club members is a local school teacher and has asked me to collect the owl pellets for her students. They dissect them as part of a lesson about owls' habitat and their role in nature. Every one of the boxes had a bunch of earwigs in them, so I had to partially deconstruct every single box to get rid of them all and to prep them for new paint. I also included an anti-insect additive into the paint to prevent other bugs from coming back. With a little help from Bill and Pete, I got them all reinstalled into the locations with a proven track record of success and into new locations that will hopefully give us the biggest new barn owl count so far. While upgrading the mounting screws, Pete and I encountered a barn owl that flew out of the Valley Deep owl box. This was a big surprise to me because I was under the impression that they only ever used the boxes when they were laying eggs during the spring and summer months. At least that had been my experience with them up until now.
You see that? Owl just flew out. Yeah. I got it on camera though. I don't think so. They interrupted his lunch though. There's a mouse in there.
Since I just spooked an owl out of the Valley Deep box, I decided to check the Shady box before taking it down. Sure enough, not only was there an owl inside, but also a clutch of 4 eggs. Turns out it's not unheard of for them to lay eggs during the winter. This was just the first time that I'd seen that happen at our club. So I left that box alone and decided to keep tabs on it in the coming weeks to see how they were progressing. All 4 eggs hatched, and they were maturing as expected, but then they all just disappeared. I knew that it was far too soon for them to have fully matured and flew away, so it was apparent that a predator had taken them. I brought the matter up during the next club meeting, and the consensus was to wrap every tree that had an owl box on it with aluminum flashing to prevent any would-be predators from climbing the trees. So far, that seems to have done the trick. I have to admit, I was pretty happy to see that the mama owl that lost her babies was already working on a new clutch. The clubhouse location is a good spot and consistently produces owls every year, So it shouldn't have come as a surprise that there would be a winter clutch there too. Sniper Hill is also a location that historically does well every year. This year, the box is on a different tree than it has been in the last couple years. I did this for a couple of different reasons. The first is to get it out of direct sunlight, just to keep the temperature down a little bit more during the later summer months, and it's also a little bit more accessible for changing out the nesting material. As you can see in these next two clips, not every owl freaks out when they see a camera come into the box. Some of them take the approach of, if I don't move, you can't see me, and that's what's happening here. There could be a couple of eggs underneath this one. Sometimes I'll keep the camera in there just a little bit longer to see if they sway out of the way, and I can see whether or not there's eggs. But in this case, I can't see, so we'll just have to wait and see. So this is a brand new location for us. In the past couple of years, we had an owl box near the tree stand, and a couple of different trees, a couple of different locations, and it just hasn't been as popular a nesting site. So we're trying it out here. In this first video, you can see there's a nesting pair present, but in the subsequent checks, there's no owls present and there's no eggs present. So we'll just wait and see how it does, and if it doesn't happen to be a popular location for the owls, we'll move it again before the spring nesting season. Originally, when this box went up, it was on a tree about 5 yards east of where it is now. The first season it was up, there was, I think there was like 3 or 4 eggs, but they were never hatched. There was a mama in there, but they never hatched, and I figured it was because it was getting too much direct sunlight in the afternoon. So I moved it to this new location where it is now. It gets a lot more shade cover from the afternoon sun, and it's been doing pretty good last couple of years. I'm anxious to see how it does this year. Again, hard to say whether or not there's a couple of eggs underneath this owl. We'll just have to wait and see. The Valley Deep box is also a pretty popular location. It's done pretty well over the last few years. The first year it was up, by the end of the season, there was a beehive inside of it. And so, after cleaning it out really good, I wanted to relocate it so any bees that were inclined to come back to it hopefully would have a harder time finding it. It's been doing pretty good last couple of years, and as you can see, we got a cool half dozen eggs in here. It might be 7. This is another brand new location. This one's located near the practice butts. The reason why I wanted one here was to hopefully encourage a little more activity by the practice butts area to address the ground squirrels and gophers that are making holes where a lot of us spend a lot of our time. As you can see in the second clip, there's a few rats in there. It might be gophers. So there's an owl that's interested in being there. So when I came back to do the flashing work on all the trees, I had a pretty good idea that there would be an owl in there, and I actually spooked one out of the freeway box when they heard that rattling of the flashing. So I was expecting the same thing to happen here. So I propped the camera up and filmed me putting that flashing up. And there she goes. Last year we had 16 new owls join the ranks of our rodent killing crew. This year there are already at least 18 eggs waiting to be hatched, and that's just our winter clutch. Many more can be expected during the usual nesting season from March to August. If you'd like to follow along to see how our barn owl colony is doing this year, subscribe to the channel to be notified when new video updates are uploaded. Thanks a lot for watching, and remember, every effort makes a difference. Make yours count.